Today, our predictions for 2021. First, a disclosure. We get this wrong all the time. By the way, it's we when we get it wrong, it's I when we nail it. As Eisenhower said, plans are useless, however, planning is invaluable. The meta trend driving our analysis this year is the great dispersion. The core value a company offers is being dispersed directly to end consumers and skipping the traditional channels of distribution, be they stores, movie theaters, doctors' offices, or banks. The past 50 years of business have been defined by globalization, followed by digitization. What will define the next decade in business? Dispersion. One of the first and biggest tidal waves of dispersion, inspired by the pandemic, is the dispersion of headquarters. By the way, if you want to take a cruise down denial, get someone who owns an office building and someone who owns a movie theater in the same room. First prediction, we're going to see a dramatic evolution in how and where we work. Most people are still working from home, and if they return to the office, they're going to be used to the flexibility of staying at home. And who could catch and ride this tidal wave of change? Some hints. This firm already has 7 million listings in 220 countries, global brand equity, and nearly every young executive has an account on this platform. Prediction? Airbnb will repurpose commercial real estate and sell flexible office space to enterprise clients, possibly as a recurring revenue bundle in 2021. While I was, to put it mildly, a bear on WeWork, I'm bullish on the underlying concept. However, following the pandemic, it's the we in WeWork that people want to avoid. This change will structurally destroy demand across full-time office leases in big cities. For example, San Francisco. In just 12 months, San Francisco registered its lowest and highest commercial vacancy rate ever. That's right, in one 12-month period, the highest and lowest vacancy rates. If commercial real estate is a $12 trillion asset class, and we see a destruction in gross demand of 10 to 30%, where would this capital flow to? Simple. To our homes or residential real estate. Lumber and residential real estate have hit all-time highs, and we're just getting started. Until this pandemic, we spent 17% of our budget on transportation. We'll likely put that capital into the home. That stained rug that you barely noticed has become unbearable. Prediction: restoration hardware stock doubles in value, as does Sonos. There are few great brands in the home, and these two are positioned to catch the tidal wave of capital that will flow into our residences. Another prediction: Apple acquires Peloton. There has never been a brand that better foots to another brand than Peloton does to Apple. Similar to peanut butter and chocolate, good on their own, but awesome together. By the way, I love candy. I remember a time when you could walk into a gas station with a quarter and leave with a candy bar and a Coke. Now there's cameras everywhere. Anyway, there's a dispersion of the industrial sweat complex to the home. Simply put, gyms are dying and going to lose somewhere between 10 to 30% of their value. Where's it going? Into your garage. Sales of at-home fitness equipment have surged. It's better to be lucky than good, and Peloton is both. The connected fitness firm has Apple-like margins and a market cap of $30 billion. Is Peloton worth $30 billion? I don't know. Is it worth more than $30 billion to Apple? Yes. Apple has the capital to pull this off and will do so to get more and more of the all-important attention graph across the wealthiest cohort in America, fitness-obsessed Americans. This would be a baller move and increase anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes a day the amount of time you are staring at iOS. That number today is more than 2.5 hours per day for most Americans. So if a $2 trillion firm can increase their share of the attention graph by 25% across an exceptionally attractive cohort amongst its 1 billion strong customer base, what is that worth? Simply put, more than $30 billion. There's also been a dispersion of retail. First, retail went to warehouses, then to your doorstep. Now it's moving to our phones. Prediction? Look to Shopify to make a big acquisition or big acquisitions in 2021. Shopify was up more in 2020 than in the preceding 4 years. Flush with a fully valued currency, we expect to see the Canadian company make an enormous acquisition in 2021. I am less bullish on Zoom. We believe Zoom will either acquire or merge with a big company in 2021. And a bit of a passive-aggressive prediction, Zoom will be the AOL of the COVID era. That's America Online for anyone younger than 30 watching this video. Many believe Zoom is the great white shark of remote. However, there are likely other apex predators, specifically orcas, in the water. Microsoft could double down on Skype or go consumer with Teams. Salesforce could expand Slack with a consumer-oriented product that leads with video, or any of the four could push their existing video communication capabilities. In short, they will featureize video and eat Zoom's lunch. Look out below. We believe Zoom is vulnerable and its $113 billion market capitalization inflated. Unlike its competitors, Zoom doesn't have an enterprise mode. Zoom either has to buy its way out of this or sell. I predict Zoom will recognize this and try to merge with a traditional big EBITDA company. Prediction, that merger will likely go down as one of the worst in history, perhaps securing second place behind the original AOL-Time Warner merger. What would be an interesting acquisition or merger? Zoom and WhatsApp, recently spun by Facebook after they are found guilty of monopoly abuse and forced as a remedy to break up or divest WhatsApp and Instagram, which, by the way, brings us to another form of dispersion, breakups, courtesy of the energized state and federal antitrust authorities. Prediction, in the face of antitrust, Facebook stock increases and Amazon prophylactically spins AWS, which will be the most valuable company in the world by 2025. You can find a link to many of our thoughts on this in the description, but simply put, every stakeholder except the sociopath running the firm benefits in a breakup. By the way, to hear more about the great dispersion of money and our predictions regarding Bitcoin, tune in next week. And finally, as we've mentioned before, the greatest fields of dispersion will be in healthcare and education. Combined with headquarters and banks, we're looking at a reshuffling of a quarter of our economy. Now, we want to take a moment to look back on the shit show of 2020 and acknowledge the individual who emerged as our Person of the Year. This isn't a joke. We've thought a lot about this. Prof G's 2020 Person of the Year is the founder of Amazon, who has inspired all of us here at Prof G. Specifically, you heard that right. Our Person of the Year is Mackenzie Scott. Mackenzie Scott, the unacknowledged co-founder of Amazon that doesn't get the credit for her early contributions to the retail behemoth. In a Medium post published in December 2020, Scott announced she'd given away $4.2 billion in the past 4 months to nearly 400 organizations. That's on top of $1.7 billion in gifts earlier in July. While Jeff is having the mother of all midlife crises chasing silicone and Botox, Mackenzie is giving billions to local YMCAs across the country. By the way, the best revenge is to live a wonderful life. And our sense is that Miss Scott is living hers. She didn't hamstring her gifts with RFPs, naming rights, or phone calls to the admissions director to advocate for her doubles partner's impressive son. Scott took a data-driven approach to giving. She started with 6,400 potential organizations. Then her team evaluated their leadership and the results with special attention to those operating in communities facing inequity and poor access to philanthropic capital. Miss Scott is not just more generous than her co-founder, she's smarter. Scott is one of the few beneficiaries of the pandemic to acknowledge this ugly truth. The wealthy have accrued massive incremental wealth during a crisis that has devastated so many. There are many of us, and we don't like to say this out loud, who are living our best lives. For much of the top 10%, the pandemic has meant some inconvenience, but substantially more time with loved ones, more time with Netflix, and our stock portfolios have never been stronger. What is America? Is it a set of beliefs that we cement, hopefully, with actions? Are we the most innovative culture on earth? No. Are we the most powerful? Doesn't appear so. An economy a 1/12 of our size has infiltrated our federal agencies, and a virus 1/400th the width of a human hair has laid bare our comorbidities, our arrogance, our weakness. However, Ms. Scott gives us hope that we are still a nation of people who recognize their blessings and pursue not just prosperity, but progress. We take some comfort from Scott's actions that America, for all its faults, still strives to be a culture of generosity and empathy. We'll see you next week.